My name is Sharon Blue, and I serve as the Soul Matters Program Coordinator here and as the Vegetable Garden Crew Motivator. One thing I love about this congregation is the wondrous variety of interests and talents among us. There are musicians and artists, gardeners and poets, philosophers and lovers of life in abundance right here. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Boulder. I want to extend a special welcome to everyone who's visiting us for the first time, and to those of you online. Please fill out the visitor form in the link in the description. We'd love to connect with you. To give you some idea of what we're about here at UUCB, let me tell you about our mission. We say that here we connect bravely, deepen spiritually, embody justice, and always love. What we mean is that this community is inviting you into our shared time together today, but it's also inviting you into a way of life, a way of being in the world that may transform you. We want to grow as individuals. We want to welcome more people into this community. And we want to help you in your personal dream to make the world and your life better. So there you go, the church in a nutshell.
It's always a pleasure to have a sparkly pink mic. It's a little bit of joy. That's appropriate. Friends, put away the pressures of the world that ask us to take up masks, to put on brave fronts. Silence the voices that ask you to be perfect. This is a community of compassion and of welcome, and you don't have to do anything to earn the love contained within these walls. You do not have to be braver, smarter, stronger, better than you are in this moment to belong here with us. You only have to bring the gift of your body, no matter how able, your seeking mind, no matter how busy, your animal heart, no matter how broken. Bring all that you are and all that you love to this hour together. We enter today a season of silence. I appreciate that in the Christian contexts, these are liturgical seasons. And even though that's not quite the pattern of seasons that we follow, I appreciate the invitation into an intentional time of waiting, of stillness, of silence, of wondering and wandering, a time to go back to old stories and old songs and find new things in them.
This morning we have a very special vocal ensemble here, and some of our singers come from as far as Evergreen to our own staff here at UUCB. So we have Ben and Sam and Irene and myself. We're all on staff. That, UUCB's got talent, so. Just thanking everyone. So we have Fiona, Holly, Jenny, Irene, Hannah, Sam, Ben, and Ray. Totally my fault. I'm sorry. That's the title of the song, but not the first line. Thank we of the Lord of heaven, for the day spring he has given. For the light of truth and grace, shining from the Master's
blessed time of year. Still the anxious song we hear. Glory be to God on high. Sing the angels in the sky. Mortals join the glad refrain. Peace on earth, goodwill to all. Evermore and evermore.
Each week when we gather, we light our chalice, just as 1,000 other congregations do each week around the country. It's a symbol of our Unitarian Universalist past and present and future. It's a visible reminder of our interconnection. For our chalice lighting today, I share these words from cell biologist and religious naturalist Ursula Goodenough. This from her marvelous book, The Sacred Depths of Nature, which combines reflections on biology with reflections on her experience of the holy. She says this, she says, "I've had a lot of trouble with the universe. It began soon after I was told about it in physics class. I was perhaps 20 and I went on a camping trip where I found myself in a sleeping bag looking up into the crisp Colorado night. Before I could look around for Orion and the Big Dipper, I was overwhelmed with terror. The panic became so acute I had to roll over, bury my face in my pillow. All the stars I see are part of one galaxy. And there are 100 billion, with a B, galaxies in the universe, with 100 billion, again with a B, stars in each one, occupying magnitudes of space I can't even begin to imagine. Each star is dying, exploding, accreting, exploding again, spitting atoms and fusing nuclei under enormous temperatures and pressures. And our sun will die too, frying the earth to a crisp in its heat death, spewing its bits and pieces out into the frigid nothingness of curved space-time. The night sky was ruined. I would never be able to look up at it again. I went into my pillow, the long, slow tears of adolescent despair. And when I encountered the famous quote from physicist Steven Weinberg that the more the universe seems comprehensible, the more it seems pointless, I wallowed in a poignant nihilism. And a bleak emptiness overtook me wherever I thought about what was really going on out in the cosmos or down in the atom, so I did my best not to think about such things. But since then, I have found a way to defeat the nihilism that lurks in the infinite and the infinitesimal. I've come to understand I can deflect the apparent pointlessness of it all by realizing I don't have to seek a point. In any of it, I can see it instead as a locus of mystery with a capital M. The mystery of why is there anything at all instead of nothing. The mystery of where the laws of physics came from. The mystery of why the universe seems so strange. For this embrace of mystery, which has always been a core part of our religious tradition, and for the undeniable invitation to wonder, that mystery hands us. I light our chalice this morning.
Our covenant is the promise that we make to each other about how we will be together in community. It is simple. It is demanding. In person and online, will you join together as one to speak out loud? Please stand. We gather in fellowship to speak truth to each other, to reach out and touch one another, to care with each other, and to seek the truth divine. So be it.
I invite you into a time of prayer and meditation. What I find that I need almost every Sunday morning right at this moment, which is probably why I invite you to do it along with me, is to slow down. Will you all take a breath with me? And another, but slower this time, deeper. Sometimes our minds move too fast with anxiety and worry. Looping through all the things to do or the things left undone, we go faster and faster trying to outrun them. In this moment, we intentionally slow ourselves down. We take a breath. We set down all of the things running through our minds. Invite you into the space of meditation. The words are by the poet David Wagner. This is called Lost. Stand still. The trees ahead and bushes beside you are not lost. Wherever you are is called here, and you must treat it as a powerful stranger. Must ask permission to know it and be known. The forest breathes. Listen. It answers, I've made this place for you, made this place around you. If you leave it, you may come back again saying, here. No two trees are the same to raven. No two branches are the same to wren. If what a tree or a bush does is lost on you, you are surely lost. Stand still. The forest knows where you are. You must let it find you. We'll be together in stillness for 7 breaths. Amen. our commitment to connect bravely means that we're called to be glad with those who rejoice and to weep with those who mourn. Each week we set aside this time in the service to make visible in ritual the joys and the sorrows shaping our lives. So for those meeting in person, I invite you to come forward as you feel moved. Silently take a stone and place it into the earth to symbolize your joys and sorrows and how they take their place among the whole, held in the hand of the earth. I share a joy this morning, celebration of Barb's birthday. Happy birthday, Barb. And I share the difficult news. Our former youth coordinator, Justin, who played Dungeons and Dragons with the kids and made board games and played them with so many of us, has been sick for a long, long time. On Tuesday, he lost consciousness and didn't recover. And this weekend, his family's made the difficult decision to withdraw life support. Hold him and his whole family in love. And as you feel moved, please come forward.
Voice
Thank you. It's very intimidating to follow that. 2 centuries ago, 1799, the German theologian Friedrich Schleiermacher wrote a book. And I know if you're here for the first time, I do not always start sermons by referencing German theologians from the 1700s. But he wrote this book with a wonderfully snarky title called On Religion, Speeches to Its Cultured Despisers. In other words, on religion, you people who reject it, thinking you know so clearly everything that's about and why it's so dumb and how none of it makes sense, you don't actually know what you're talking about. German is a very compact language. What he says is essentially this. He says religion is an experience. It's not what you think. It's not even really what you do. It's not about doctrines or dogmas. It proceeds from an experience. And however much we might argue over the silliness or relevance or accuracy of doctrines or dogmas, that experience is real. Here's what he says. He says, religion is the outcome neither of the fear of death nor of the fear of God. It answers a deep need in humanity. It's neither a metaphysic nor a morality, but above all and essentially an intuition. It's a feeling, he says. Dogmas are not, properly speaking, part of religion. Rather, it is that they are derived from it. Religion is the miracle of direct relationship with the infinite. And dogmas are the reflection of this miracle. Similarly, belief in God and in personal immortality are not necessarily a part of religion. One can conceive of religion without God, and it would be pure contemplation of the universe. That was 1799. And our Unitarian and our Transcendentalist ancestors embraced those ideas and ran with them. Ralph Waldo Emerson in 1836 gave the commencement sermon to the graduating class at Harvard Divinity School, which was a class of all Unitarian ministers. And I think they invited him because he was sort of the headliner of the day. He was the big name. But when he got there, he spent what to my eyes is a very long sermon, essentially chastising them all for wasting their time in church. I have to thread the needle very carefully, this next part. But what he says is, among other things, go and acquaint people, acquaint humanity, go and acquaint men at first hand with deity. In other words, he's saying, do not rise to the pulpit to give some secondhand reports about what it's like, but instead inspire in everyone, in all of us, direct experience. The same thing that Schleiermacher's talking about. Go out and experiencing it yourself, the miracle of direct relationship with the infinite. That, he says, is worth so much. The church I grew up in Lexington, Massachusetts, he served for a couple of years, I think in either the late 1820s or the early 1830s. Emerson, I could be getting my history wrong, but what I know for sure is at the top of the order of service when I was a kid, you'd open it up, and right at the top, there was a quote, a little epigraph from Emerson. It said, I like the quiet of church before the service begins. I like the noise of church before the service begins. This is sort of a little passive-aggressive. I found out the full quote from this is actually, I like the quiet of church before the service begins better than any preaching. Because again, his whole point as a transcendentalist and as a huge influence on our tradition is It's not about the words, it's about the experience. And if the words have value, they have value in stirring us into that experience and exploring that experience and reflecting it. The first of our 6 sources, along with our 7 principles, we name 6 sources that this living tradition comes from. The first of them is direct experience. Direct experience of that transcending mystery and wonder, affirmed in all cultures, which moves us to a renewal of spirit and an openness to the forces that create and uphold life. We use different words to talk about that, transcending mystery and wonder. But I think Emerson would have been right at home in it, Schleiermacher too, though I don't know if he spoke English. The point is to experience first, and then find the names. To experience and then enter into this conversation with tradition and history and theology and others. Maybe, like Ursula Goodenough, you find yourself a religious naturalist, belonging to the story of the universe, belonging to the interconnected web of life and existence. Each of us little bits of the universe looking back at it. Faith isn't an intellectual exercise, it's an experience. Ursula Goodenough says, the realization that I needn't have answers to the big questions, needn't seek answers to the big questions, has served as an epiphany. I lie on my back under the stars and unseen galaxies, and I let their enormity wash over me. I assimilate the vastness of distances, the impermanence, the fact of it all. I go all the way out, and then I go all the way down to the fact of photons without mass and gauge bosons that become massless at high temperatures. I take in the abstractions about forces and symmetries, and they caress me like Gregorian chant. The meanings of the words mattering not at all because the words are so haunting. Mystery, she says, mystery generates wonder, and wonder generates awe. The gasp can terrify, or the gasp can emancipate. And as I allow myself to experience cosmic and quantum mystery, she writes this, as a religious naturalist who does not believe in any supernatural, anything more than the material of this world, she says, as I allow myself to experience cosmic and quantum mystery, I join the saints and the visionaries in their experience of what they call divine. The sacred depths of nature aren't conceptual, they're experiential. And they don't just happen to you. You can find them, you can go searching, you can go looking. I love always this line from Louis Pasteur, who invented pasteurization. He says, science proceeds on chance, but chance favors the prepared mind. I feel like that too. Wonder favors the prepared heart. Awe favors the prepared spirit. You put yourselves into situations where it's likely. As a kid, sometimes on a Saturday afternoon, my dad would say to me, let's go on an adventure, and we'd go tromping off through the conservation land, which is what we called open space in Boston, to explore a marsh or a path, or that second growth forest rising up around the old stone walls falling apart where there used to be fields. We'd see how far out across the reeds in the marsh we could get once the water froze solid. We found a snapping turtle shell once that must have been 2 feet across with a fair amount of snapping turtle still inside it. And so in the expanse of this many-acre unmarked marsh, we noticed the spot and promised we'd come back in spring once the shell was clean. But what we were doing there, because of course we never found it, what we were doing there was wondering and wandering. We were slowing down and looking closely and wondering, what is this? Are there really turtles this big in all of the marshes we walk through? Do we need to be more careful? What does it eat? Where did it come from? How many of its siblings are still out here somewhere? What does it do in the winter? How does it grow so big? What are the colors in its shell? The rainbow of browns and grays and blacks and greens. Rachel Carson says one way to open your eyes is to ask yourself, what if I had never seen this before? What if I knew I would never see it again? That's the practice. That's a prepared mind and heart. To slow down and look close and ask, what else is there here? I read about awe walks. This is AWE, awe walks. In, of all places, the Harvard Business Review, which was not where I expected to find awe and wonder. Awe meaning the amazement that stops you in the presence of something vast. Awe which confounds your notion of the way things are and lifts you into another realm of thought and feeling. Well, in the Harvard Business Review, I think they needed to justify the importance of awe and wonder with appeal to facts and data, so they talked about these fascinating studies. It turns out wonder lowers your heart rate. It turns out high levels of awe in life correlate to high levels of satisfaction in life. It turns out that when a person experiencing awe has a brain scan under a functional MRI, so you can watch what parts of the brain are lighting up when you experience awe, it turns out that the parts of the brain that do self-talk and ruminate, you know the part of your brain that plays like the greatest hits of your failures? Right? That slows down. Like when you go outside during a good snow and everything's quiet. That's what awe does inside you. The Business Review speaks of the outcomes of awe. It expands our mental models and stimulates new ways of thinking. It facilitates scientific thinking and ethical decision-making, all of which is lovely. But I also think it matters not just because it might make you a better employee. It matters because we're human beings, and what it is to be alive and embodied in the world is to be curious and fall in love with it, connected to the whole, discovering it firsthand, right in front of you, anywhere, everywhere. In the Bhagavad Gita, the god Krishna explains what he is. The god Krishna is there, blue-skinned, appearing before a mortal who says essentially, what are you? And he says this so wonderfully. He doesn't give a list of attributes. He doesn't give a description of where he came from or the state of being or his relationship with the cosmos. He says this. He says, I am the taste in the water. I'm the light in the sun. I'm the beauty of the beautiful. I am sound as it moves through air. Meaning, of course, that he's none of those things exactly, but that all of those things are part of him, or that any of those things is a way to access the holy, not set apart and somewhere else, but right exactly here, all around us. A randomized controlled trial of awe walks showed an increase in positive emotions and a decrease in daily distress. But the piece of this that I loved so much in the research that was published is going out on an awe walk. They gave very simple instructions. Take 20 minutes. This does not have to be a huge commitment. Set an intention to notice new things. And then wander and be curious. In the study, they had participants document their emotional states and take a selfie on the walk every day. And they saw this delightful thing. You know, it started and the selfies were like this. And then as this 8-week trial went on, the subject got smaller and smaller in the picture. And they measured this. The researchers said they thought this was ridiculous and the outcome would never happen, but they measured the pixels of person every day. And they got steadily less, steadily smaller and smaller in the frame, which seems like a healthy thing, right? Putting us back not at the center of everything. Chance favors the prepared mind. Awe favors the prepared heart or spirit. Take an awe walk. Set your intention to notice new things and ask what else and what else. Wander and be curious. Slow down. Go searching. Look close. Amen.
This month, our entire offering will be used to fulfill the mission of this church. All of the programs at UUCB and all of our budget items are tied to our values and our principles. So every dollar given today will be used to support these values. If you can give money today, know that it will be money well spent. And if that's not possible for you today, that's okay. There are plenty of ways to give your time and your talents. We all have gifts to share and ways to bless the world. I invite you to give as generously as you are able. For those online, you can use the QR code or find a link in the video description. For those gathered in person, you can scan the QR code or make a donation as the ushers pass the baskets. May our gifts be used to enact justice, bringing peace and love to the Boulder community.
Thank you for your gifts. If you're new to the congregation or curious to learn more after the service today, in the listening room out that back door back there, Irene and I will host a New to UU, an informal conversation about what this place is all about, how to get connected and involved. Welcome to gather. Our closing words are from Richard Fuchs, who writes this: "May each of us find the epiphanies we seek, whether early or late, in life or death, in space, in stars, in human embrace, in dark night, daylight, in close encounters of every kind, in the peace of silence or the music of the spheres, in pain and in joy and laughter, in tears, in moments and months, in days beyond years." May you rise in body or in spirit. Let's close in song.